We had no warnings. Who can imagine that?
Just hearing the grumbling sound, kind of like a monster, you know.
The trees were just violently sucked down in a matter of seconds.
A sinkhole opened up underneath the house.
A hole to hell.
A hole to hell.
And swallowed my brother alive while he was sleeping. I could swear I heard him yelling for help. Jeremy, help me, please help me.
There are more of these sinkholes eating their way up.
Sometimes they devour buildings.
Could you believe that a hole could open up and swallow your brother?
No.
Sometimes a single house.
It happened so fast that scared me.
Sometimes a whole street.
It was like it was alive.
Sometimes it's just big enough to swallow one of us.
That's another sinkhole. Down below there is another sinkhole. And we're seeing the birth of it right now. How special is that?
I'm on my way to a part of America where it's fair to say it's wise to tread carefully.
Palmyra, Pennsylvania, where there's a new sinkhole almost every week. So many local councils can't afford to fix them. This place has been called the sinkhole capital of the world.
Take Cherry Street, where last October a chain of sinkholes began swallowing this row of now abandoned townhouses. The cause was millions of years in the making. Water seeping through the ground, eroding the limestone beneath the town and its surrounds.
Underneath us right now is a giant labyrinth of caves, and they are sinkholes waiting to happen. But to really understand what is happening up here, we have to go down there.
Sinkholes actually begin underground. What drives the sinkhole is when the soil gets saturated and loses strength and gets heavy from all the water and finds a little crack down into the cave system and starts eroding or flushing down into the cave. That's what creates the sinkhole up at the ground surface.
Tim Bechtel was born to study sinkholes. He grew up near here with one in his backyard.
This is melting snow.
This geophysicist now investigates them worldwide, an expert in the phenomena of the sinkhole.
It's essentially eating its way upward by pieces falling off the roof until it breaks through at the ground surface. Sometimes with a vehicle driving over it or some other event that puts some load on the roof of this cavity and it falls in.
Someone even walking on top of it.
Sometimes people walking on it can do it, yes. I hope she wasn't hurt.
No, they pull around.
I see her coming out, yeah.
How much is human activity impacting on sinkholes?
Tremendously. Once an area gets paved and there are roofs and stormwater is concentrated, rather than rainfall sinking in wherever it falls, that water gets concentrated by pavement and roofs and dumped onto the ground and creates sinkholes. So following development, the occurrence of sinkholes increases by factors of 10 or more.
When the earth opens up, nothing is safe.
Look at the size of it. It is enormous.
Massive, yes.
It is so big.
Before February this year, the National Corvette Museum in Kentucky looked like a gleaming showroom. But suddenly, at 5:39 a.m. on the 12th of the month, the earth got greedy.
The hole opened up and swallowed 8 of our cars, and that, We treated those like our babies. You know, of all the things that I've imagined that could go wrong that we'd have to face, I never dreamed that one of them would be a sinkhole.
There was one bright spot, retrieved from the centre of the earth, this little blue Corvette. As I travelled further evidence of a rapid increase in sinkhole activity. An 11-hectare monster devouring a place called Bayou Corn in Louisiana.
On August the 3rd, 2012, a sinkhole developed here in Bayou Corn. For 2 months prior to that time, there was earthquakes occurring in the community and bubbling in the bayous in this whole area.
Everybody was talking. Go see those bubbles, dude. Something is going on down the bayou. There's something. Go see this. You can't believe it.
Until August the 3rd, Carla Alleman, her husband, their 2 grandchildren, their son and his wife, believed they lived in America's most perfect waterfront spot.
Our plan was to be a really big part of our grandkids' life.
They moving, John.
Yep, I got it. I got it.
See it? It's moving that much. Oh, that's gone right there. See it right there? Look at it. Breeze falling. Going all in. Oh, that's a big one.
The trees were just violently sucked down in a matter of seconds. And the rushing of the water scared me.
When the sinkhole occurred, there was huge quantities of natural gas bubbling to the surface and crude oil bubbling to the surface, which caused a lot of emissions of toxic chemicals into the air and made the people in Bayou Corn very ill.
I went outside, and it was just a burning smell, like diesel, and it would just burn you if you... And there was a mist between the 2 houses.
How long was it then until you were evacuated?
That day.
It took 2 months to find the cause. Drilling at a nearby salt mine had weakened the wall of a huge underground cave, causing it to collapse. The result is an environmental disaster. The water is toxic. The air polluted with methane gas.
It can't come back because of the natural gas that's under all of this area. It's bubbling to the surface throughout the area.
Although many scientists disagree with her, Wilma Subra is convinced that coal seam gas mining, or fracking, is behind a new wave of sinkholes.
I've observed the sinkholes that have developed as a result of fracking. They actually take a large quantity of very toxic chemicals, put down into a well under great pressure, and crack open the formation. That pressure that they're putting on, if there's a fault in the area, it makes the fault slip, which then can, on the surface, create sinkholes. They're using in Australia the same mechanisms they use here. And so there is a great potential for the development of sinkholes in Australia.
This is sinkhole capital.
Of Australia?
You are right here, yes.
And there's another reason Australia has potential as a sinkhole hotspot.
Almost all caves and sinkholes on the planet are formed in limestone. In Australia, we've got huge sheets, huge slabs of limestone.
The northern suburbs of Perth and parts of Canberra sit above pockets of limestone. Under Mount Gambier in South Australia, the limestone deposit is massive. In and around the town, there are 40 big sinkholes. Some have been here for tens of thousands of years.
Hell's Hole is the largest sinkhole of its type in the world.
Some for not so long.
There was a football match in the 70s in a country area not far from Mount Gambier. It was raining like hell in the middle of the game. They all came back, Glencoe, they all came back to the middle of the oval and there was a whacking great hole in the ground. There's a beautiful photograph, all the footballers standing around going, well, what are we going to do now? And then apparently they were quite grumpy because the game was interrupted.
Ian Lewis is a geologist who spends a lot of time in sinkholes.
As far as I know, I'm the only diving geologist in the country.
We're in Ewan's Pond. There are 3 sinkholes here in a line. The water is beautiful and clear because it's filtered by the limestone.
I've laid on the bottom at night and identified constellations from 10 metres of water.
That's how clear it is.
That's amazing.
And it's a freshwater paradise. Lots of creatures live in here. And this is where all the water from the whole sinkhole region comes out of the ground and flows slowly down to the sea.
It's an ancient paradise that's constantly evolving.
Right down below me here, there's sand and water coming up from another sinkhole that's forming down below.
Right there before our eyes, the world's newest sinkhole.
That is the birth of a new sinkhole. How good is that?
The natural occurrence of sinkholes is actually pretty rare and unpredictable.
That below me can only be described as another hole to hell. How deep it goes, we don't know.
Those driven by humans are really quite predictable. If you dump a lot of water on the ground over a soluble bedrock, you're likely to get sinkholes.
Oh my God, you see it separating in the middle?
Which leads to this.
See it opening?
And which is why, on the final leg of this odyssey, I've come to Central Florida, where there are 19,000 known sinkholes and countless others appearing every other week.
She's coming.
In February last year, Jeremy Bush, his wife Rachel, and daughter Hannah were living in this modest house near Tampa. Jeremy's older brother Jeff, who'd fallen on hard times, had just moved into the back bedroom.
What was he like?
Outgoing, kind person, and do anything for you.
Didn't want him living on the streets, so we took him in to help him. There are 3 months, and then the hole opens up and takes him.
I heard this loud noise. It sounded like a car or a train hitting a building. And my brother yelled.
We heard a big boom. We thought it was a car coming through the house. We heard Jeff scream.
We all ran to his room down the hallway. And I opened his door. My brother wasn't there. And I'm just yelling and screaming for him because all you can see is this big old hole with his bed hanging, just parts of his bed hanging out, and that was it.
Actually, it looked like hell opened up and just ate him and everything in his room.
Could you hear him at all? Was there any...
I could swear I heard him yelling for help. Jeremy, help me, please help me. So I started digging with my hands and yelling for him and screaming and telling my wife to call 911.
I need an ambulance. The bedroom floor just collapsed and my brother-in-law is in there. He's underneath the house.
I was down about 3 miles away from where the incident scene was. It just came in as a 911 call, and it said that there was a person that had fallen through a floor of a house.
And I just kept digging and screaming for my brother. And the next thing I know, there's a Deputy Duvall showed up.
There was just a giant hole. Everything was like in the ground and sinking in the ground. And then I saw Jeremy.
He yelled for me to get out of the hole because the hole was still collapsing. I didn't want to get out of the hole, but I didn't want to lose my family too.
I just reached down and told Jeremy, I was like, hey man, we got to get out of this thing.
So he grabbed me by my arm and my hand and pulled me out. That was the last time I seen her. I heard from my brother.
The deadly sinkhole has been filled in. The land will never be built on. Jeff's body is somewhere below.
I love you, Jeff.
I miss you, bro.
How often do you think about it?
Every day. Sorry, man. I love you.
Love you, bro.
In a way, I feel like it's my fault because I invited him in to stay with me at a place that I thought was safe and secure for him. And I failed him. That's the way I feel.
Can we expect to see a lot more sinkholes?
Unfortunately, I think yes.
Hey, you see the birds up in the sky?
Wow, they're way up there.
The Bush family now live in a mobile home in a neighbouring suburb.
Anywhere you move to, there's hurricanes, or there's tornadoes, or there's landslides, or there's fires. No one ever thinks that there's sinkholes going to open up underneath your house, though.